Well, hello, and welcome to your daily dose of body mind medicine to keep your animals healthy and vital, and also to know that animals come into our lives to teach us how to be human, to tap into our compassion and our own healing journey. And a lot of times there is a crossover between our own symptoms and our animals. They will take on our physical illnesses to get us to wake up and do something in order to change what is going on in our lives. And I'm joined here today by this little fella who I'm absolutely loving. He's keeping me company in the office. And before the power goes off, I wanted to just really talk to this really important topic on hyperthyroidism and what it is and how you can actually help your animals to have the best quality of life if they do have it. My rescue cat, Winston, who looked very similar to this little guy, he came to us in his senior years, and he was incredibly thin and had hypothyroidism. So he had a lot of symptoms where he couldn't digest food, and he had a lot of other things going on, and it did create blindness for him. And also he couldn't put on weight, and he had a good quality of life when we changed him onto a species appropriate diet, and one that could support his thyroid with glandulars and everything else. So how do you know if your cat or your dog has hyperthyroidism? Well, if they have allergies or a lot of skin irritations, maybe they have neurological disorders that show up as tics, or just they feel off. The thyroid is one of the things that is often overlooked, and it may look like one of the people that I was speaking to today, where her cat looked like he'd had a stroke. He was off balance and he was walking a little bit funny. And this is actually a hyperthyroidism problem. So how else does it show up? Behavior issues is another thing. And where I often think people really need to know what it is, so that you, if you have an animal that has a thyroid issue, ouch, I got cat claws in my bag, can really help accelerate healing in all these sort of very chronic inflammatory conditions that may be thyroid related. So the majority of neurologic skin, ear, joint conditions, they often have a significant thyroid or hypothyroid component. And a lot of times this goes undiagnosed. So dogs or cats with seizures, as well as kind of phobias or separation anxiety or other ways of anxiety, or they just look depressed all the time. They really do need to have a full thyroid panel to really investigate and also rule out, is this a thyroid issue? And remember, any of the information that I share is not a substitute for veterinary care. So find a good holistic vet that you can work with that can really look at any kind of autoimmune disease that's going on. Heavy metal components in vaccines. I think we really, these days, our animal companions are so over vaccinated. And this causes a myriad of knock-on effects as far as disease in our animals' bodies. So find a holistic or a homeopathic vet that really knows how to work with this if your animal has been over-vaccinated in the past. And please know the power of choice is yours. Educating yourself, getting good information that feels light and true to you is always a good way to keep you on course, to trust that you're enough for your animals and that you're doing the best that you possibly can. And titer, if you have to have rabies vaccines or other kind of vaccines in the area that you live, ask for titer tasting before they actually eliminate the dose. I'm horrified when I hear people tell me that one cat that weighs 10 kgs and another that weigh 5 are given the same dose of vaccines. And this shouldn't be happening. But I really do believe, and I have had some incredible mentors over the years. Will Falconer is fantastic, so look him up. He is an absolute godsend when it comes to homeopathic veterinary care. And he also agrees, like so many of others, that injected toxins always are overstimulating the immune system. And they're being bombarded daily by environmental factors like heavy metals and electromagnetic frequencies from our cell phones and our what do you call that, Wi-Fi and everything else, as well as the chemicals that you may be using to clean your house. So if you want to help your animals stay happy and healthy, start looking toward natural cleaning agents and really clean up. You do an energy detox and do an environmental detox in your house. You'd be amazed at just how many pesticides and things like air fresheners and scented candles can affect your animal's health. And it's important to mention that in these sort of urban environments where other people may be spraying their lawns or anything else, or using toxic chemicals, that there is a much higher incidence of risk because the levels of all this geoengineering, the chemtrails we see in the sky, as well as all these EMFs that we're exposed to and our animals are exposed to, and all these sort of limitations of natural exposure for physical grounding are impaired. I have grounding mats everywhere. I use a lot of biogeometry or radiesthesia work. And this is my BG3 energy cube that I have right under my computer, along with a whole lot of other crystals and things to really help not be affected by the EMFs, and certainly not affect my sweet little kitten that's sitting on my lap either. And I'm really happy that research is starting to show evidence that EMFs are a huge factor in negative effects of toxins, the chemicals and the heavy metals and the infections, all those sort of microbial stuff, the bacteria, the viruses, the funguses, all of it, everything that's sort of parasitic is thriving because we're not keeping our energy clean, and we're not keeping our animal companions' energy clean. So I really believe in an eclectic homeopathic approach or other vibrational therapies like radiesthesia and the energy work that I practice, which is very much a functional integrative approach of lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and energy and body work that you can do to really help your animal and protect them and your family from EMF exposure. So just turning off your Wi-Fi at night and keeping your phones away from where you sleep and turning all of that off is a good start. So let's talk about hypothyroidism for a minute, because I believe prevention is always better than cure. But some of the signs that you may see in your cat or your dog are that may be causing functional hypothyroidism or cancers or other disease or autoimmune factors like cancers and a lot of human conditions that are showing up in our animals because they're so bonded to us, and there is a transference of energy in that morphic field that we all share. Is everything affects everything, and why I want to empower all of you to trust and be your own medicine and use muscle testing. There's 2-3 videos on my YouTube channel where I teach you how. It's really, really simple. If it isn't, it's not my trust process of being able to use your body as a pendulum to get a yes and a no, and ask your animal's body and their mind what is helping, what is harming, and start to understand the most effective way that you can prioritize protocols and effective dosing therapies, whether you're using homeopathics, whether you're using Bach remedies, whether you're using energy medicine. You can really enhance critical thyroid cofactors. And you can do things like reduce the fluoride exposure by giving your animals good, healthy, live water. I love Clayton Nolte structured water, and it's plumbed into my house, into my garden. So I don't have to spray because everything is in balance. The ecosystem is balanced. And of course, doing regular detoxification, like giving yourself a good liver tonic or giving your animals more chlorella and dark greens and things like sardines and upping their essential fatty acids and giving them milk thistle every now and again so that you can start to treat co-infections. Because there's a lot out there these days other than medicine, the Western pharmaceutical drugs that often create more side effects, and your animal's body has to work even harder then to try and eliminate those toxins. So look for and ask your vet about low doses of natural hormone replacements, just like we would with ourselves, and glandulars and homeopathy. Fluoride-free water, as I said, that's filtered, fermented foods. My cats don't particularly like eating sauerkraut. My dogs, I mix it into their beautiful slow-cooked food. But my cats, I just mix some of the juices off of my ferments and add kefir and things that they do like, something that's got a really strong smell, into things like sardines or whitebait or a little bit of wild salmon when I can find it, and just to give them more high quality natural foods that are gluten-free. So cut out the kibble. If you want to learn more about it, this is the best thing that you can give to your animals, is to change them onto a live natural diet and get any kind of kibble out of your house. It's loaded with sodium, it's loaded with sugars, it's loaded with grains that their digestive tracts cannot digest, and it causes a huge toxic burden and a huge amount of energy drain off of their kidneys, which is why you see a lot of kidney failure in cats, but dogs as well. And just doing that can make a huge difference to these individual inflammatory cytokines and sensitivities that are showing up as the symptoms of itchy, dry skin or weight loss or excessive howling, whether they're dogs or cats. And of course, addressing the gut microbiome, making sure the digestion and the absorption of some of these key nutrients by incorporating cellular detoxification support. I am a big, big supporter of CBD oil and also phytoplankton. And if you want to know more about that and get a really good pure source that's grown under natural sunlight and extruded with oxygen, rather than some of the other ways that people that are doing back of house extrusion with heavy metals like butanes and things, let me know. We are running orders now before the farm closes in December. So get your orders in now, because science is really proving that there is absolutely no separation. Leaky gut equals leaky brain. It's the same for our animals as it is for us. And researching and avoiding those sort of top glyphosates containing food is key. Most kibbles are likely now contaminated, and on top of that, there's been so many studies and articles lately about the high amounts of phenobarbital, right? Those the drugs that are used in euthanasia. Why? Because a lot of animals that are euthanized end up back in the food chain. Sad but true. So just know you can also add thyroid enhancing natural plant-based nutrients into your animal's food. Start with small doses of things like asparagus, green beans. When you slow cook their food, add some green beans in there, add some beetroot, add cooked broccoli and Brussels sprouts and carrots and celery. That's a really good one that if you go really slowly, it often helps in eradicating retroviruses. Cucumber, garlic, lettuce. Lettuce is not so great for dogs, I always thought, but mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, things like horse's mane and cooked spinach are great. It's small to moderate amounts. Always remember, start low and slow, and add in the blueberries if you can get them in season and they're at a good price. Ferment them so that they're in your fridge and you can give them out to your animals or mush them into your cat's food or your dog's food. My dogs love them. They're like treats, and I give them a handful of those every single night, and it really helps with healing inflammation in the gut. All you have to do is take a punnet of them, add some manuka honey or some natural honey that hasn't been processed, so raw honey, and then fill it up with beautiful, clear, live, filtered water. Shake it up, leave it in the sunshine for a week or two so that it ferments, and then put it into the fridge and give it to your animals daily. Avocados, almonds, oysters, pumpkin seeds, flaxseed oils, all of those are very beneficial for the prevention of early hyperthyroidism. And I'm so glad that I get to start this little kitten. I don't know if you can see him. He's lying on my lap, off right from the get-go. And he's loving the raw heart and the kidneys and a little bit of neck that he gets to crunch and chew like he would if he was catching his own prey. And of course, natural nutrients to boost thyroid health: vitamin A, zinc, selenium, vitamin D. You can overdose on vitamin D, so go slow and slow with all of these things. Iodine, ferritin, or iron, those are all great. And when there's a deficiency of those things, our thyroids, just like our animals' thyroids, start to play up. So look at that. Excuse me, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. And according to the load shedding, my electricity is about to go off in about 15 minutes. So I need to go and prepare myself. But I really wanted to get this to you because it's just becoming more. There's an epidemic of hyperthyroidism, and it's showing up not just in people, but in animals too. I'm taking glandulars because my thyroid levels were really, really low, and it affects you on so many levels, not just with your metabolic rate, but with your sense of well-being. And it's the same for our animals. So I always say, if you've got a weakness or an underactive or overactive organ, feed your animal those organ meats. So if we're treating thyroid, we want to treat with thyroid glandulars, and I still think those are great, along with kelp. You can go and buy nori. It's a very inexpensive way to give your animals beautiful blue and phytoplanktons. Go to your local Chinese store. There's normally one on every corner now in Africa with the increase in Chinese people coming here. It's so easily available. Just watch the sodium content in that. They don't normally add anything. It's just pressed kelp. And my kitten is saying, yes, he loves the kelp. It's a beautiful treat. I just wet some of the sheets and I rip it up and I mix it into their food. My dogs will eat it as a treat dry, but it does kind of get stuck on your tongue. So I like to eat that as a treat while I'm going about my day. And I wash it down with a little bit of water. But just know that a lot of these deficiencies in those elements will negatively affect thyroid health. And iodine is important as the center of thyroid hormone molecules, and fluoride act in direct opposition to displace iodine in thyroid hormone production. So start slow and slow with kelp. Seaweed, bladderwrack is one of the brews that you can actually mix up. And, I love iodine that has a bioavailability like glugols or magnescent. And of course, ferritin or iron is also critical. So I recommend whole food or supplements that contain natural heme oil. They're plant-based. And they normally come in a liquid form. I don't know, because I work with so many people across the world. So just Google it and see and muscle test and check, because standard iron supplements can be very toxic if detoxification pathways are blocked, which is why I like to have a consultation with clients before you just go out and start doing things, or consult with your vet, because you can do a lot more damage than good if you start to do one thing before you've strengthened, say, the adrenals, or you've strengthened the liver, so that it can actually start to convert the T4 to the T3. And selenium and zinc do that beautifully. And dogs, cats, just like humans, they can have a lot of genetic damage or mutations on the genes, and I have some amazing body processes to reverse that, including working with epigenomes, or the epigenetics, in my Parama Body Talk, which I am an advanced certified practitioner of, and I use it a lot because it's coming up more and more in looking at intra or extra cellular detoxification. And as I said, zinc and selenium, they play a very vital role in the conversion of T4 to T3 in our bodies and in other animals or mammals' bodies. It's exactly the same, where we need to look at how we can support the liver in optimizing thyroid hormone production. And there are some very important trace minerals, and you might need very selective supplementation according to what kind of thyroid condition you're dealing with in yourself or with your animals. I've seen a lot of zinc deficiencies in pure breeds, especially the large breeds like my Great Dane. And most allergy-related cases are all selenium deficiency. So there's a lot of discrepancy about what absorbs, what forms are best absorbed. And I always, as I said, go back to individual muscle testing, getting biofeedback straight from the horse or the cat or the dog's mouth. Mice are good for that too. So what else did I want to tell you about this? So vitamin A, exercising, making sure your animals get a lot of exercise. My cats are all outdoor cats, so they bounce around, and there's always balls and catnip and places where they can run around, and there's plenty of bird life and lizards and creepy crawlies running around. So they move around a lot. And my dogs get walked daily, and they get a lot of movement-based stimulation. So look at how you can actually optimize that. It always lowers cortisol. Same for us. If you want to lower your cortisol, move more. And look at how you can actually start to just get your animals going again. If there are low T3 or T4 levels, start with low dosing of natural thyroid hormones. Like, I don't really like Armour thyroid, but I know that in America it's a big one. I like Nature Thyroid. I love USP thyroid. All of those are going to improve circulation, and we need good circulation and lymph drainage. And that's what those products will do. Central nervous system cases also need gastrointestinal pain and inflammation to be evaluated and addressed. Are you going to work through the stomach and the duodenum first before you start working on liver or kidneys or whatever it is? But a lot of times they lower the tremor or the seizure threshold drastically. So H. pylori is a very common stomach pathogen that plays a lot more into these factors than I think any of us actually know. And I've always been a proponent of what all disease starting in the gut ends in the gut. So treat the gut, everything starts to change. And I see that happen often, especially with people that are very hypersensitive or allergic. They have seasonal allergies, but they're just always allergic to something. And we need to increase and improve the gut microbiome health. So just remember, the thyroid and the adrenal glands are your first responders to stress. So some days and instances, more or less medication may be required. And some days you might need higher doses. So just know too, it's not take 2 pills 3 times a day. It's about trusting your body's innate intelligence, asking your body, are we doing this today? I teach all my private clients how to do this and use their body and learn how to get their yeses and their nos, and then follow through. So if one day your body's saying, I want the whole bottle of omegas, and the next day it says, I don't want any, you got to honor that and follow through. And some animals can also develop sensitivities to certain thyroid medications, even the natural ones. So pay attention, trust your intuition, trust your gut. Keep a journal as well of what's being introduced. And I prefer to say, do one thing at a time. Because if you throw a whole lot of stuff at something, you don't know what's making you feel better and what's not working. So add one thing at a time, and make a note of how are you feeling? How's your animal feeling? Especially with chronic disease management, it's really about being mindful and paying attention. And I think it's really, really important that we are mindful and aware of what is going on in the external, like big markers that we can see, but also the subtle changes that we see. It's so critical to enhance digestion, to feed the microbiome that are really, really so important in our expression and in our animals' expression of wellness and vitality, and support your immune system, to assist any of these sort of underlying infections and systemic inflammation. And then you can start clearing out some of the toxic waste and the chemicals. Like I said, one of my favorites is milk thistle, or homeopathy, or homotoxicology drainage, or lymph drainage, and being able to work on the acupuncture points. And I can't wait to actually get that photonic red light therapy and the amazing speed at which that can help you to speed up any kind of body work that you're doing. So, later when things are stabilized and more detoxification can be introduced, just be aware to go low and slow and follow the body's natural impulse, whether it's your body or your cat or your dog's body or your horse's body, to use specific detoxification cofactors so that you don't get into a healing crisis, and you can prevent any kind of breakthrough seizures that happen. So what else do I want to say about this? So, some of the potential blocks that create functional hypothyroidism are the thyroid, the heart, the liver, and the cells. So the thyroid, you're looking at decreased production or release of T4. And I've just been through this with my own health. So I really am on top of this. And I've seen it change in so many of my clients' lives as well, when we actually start to take an integrative approach and a personal prescription. And the heart, we're looking at decreased processed carriers of T4 and T3. Liver, the same, decreased conversion of T4 and T3 on those sort of mitochondrial levels. And also poor T3 cellular metabolism or receptor site blockers on a cellular level. So thyroid flower essences like thyroidinum, C6, 12C, 6 times or 12 times, or the Calcera I think it's carbonica, 30 cc's of that, and glandular supplements, the standard process of thytrophin PMG or the thyro complex, or those cofactor combinations, are very gentle and effective detoxifiers. So herbal combinations may be an excellent place to start if there are severe symptoms. And those are the same for us, ashwagandha, turmeric, cinnamon, Caleosporicolia, all of those, the mushrooms, the shiitake mushrooms, the lion's mane mushrooms, they can also play a key role in immune support and thyroid function. And I've been playing with the mushrooms, medical mushrooms myself lately, and just noticing which one's working or where I see some change. So be patient, because you didn't get this way, your animals didn't get this way overnight. And I think it's really critical to support the immune system and treat any sort of co-infections that show up. So slow and steady, pay attention, as only you know your pets better than anybody else, and you know your body better than anybody else. So just know inflammation can express itself anywhere in the body during the healing process. So don't stop. Get experienced advice. Book a session with me, or book a session with a homeopathic vet that knows what they're talking about, because there is evidence that the cortisol pathways may need support in many hyperthyroid cases. And I find low doses, this is what I did with Winston, and he got a whole another 9 beautiful quality of life years with us, was through natural hydrocortisone, which assisted his body, and it also dramatically improved his quality of life, as I said, because those inflammatory cascades, especially the neurologic and the skin cases, and with him vomiting up his food all the time, it all stopped. So I hope I've given you some ideas on how to get started, and to trust that you're enough, and that you are going to get the right information that you need to really support your health, your thyroid health, or that of your animals or the people that you love. And just do the basic lifestyle changes that are so simple and easy and cost you nothing, like turning off your Wi-Fi at night and when you're not home, so that your animals are not being bombarded by that, and keep your phone away from you. My phone stays in the kitchen, and I check it 2 or 3 times a day. Your pets will be so happy with you when you do. Or put it on airplane mode, or off is always the safest. And get some grounding mats down for them. And make sure you're taking them out into nature, and that you, in doing that for your animals, also get out in nature and you ground yourself. It's also very critical to do that before bed. Just to lie on the grass and stretch your legs and just connect with the earth and the moon and the things that you're grateful for the day. So please, please, please keep learning. I'm an eternal learner, and I'm willing to be wrong. And of course I make mistakes, and I don't know everything, but I'm constantly looking at how can I continue to optimize my own health? How can I support my own animals in staying healthy and vital long into their senior years? And how can I help my clients more? And I would say 90% of my clients have a thyroid issue, whether they're humans or animals. So learning how to slowly reduce and add in more effective ways to mitigate all the electromagnetic frequencies, it's going to change your thyroid health and your animals. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in understanding that this is a very complex issue. It's not a one size fits all, which is why I prefer individual prescriptions that we create together with your body or your animal's body through biofeedback. Yeah, radiation poison is very, very real. And our children and our animal companions and women seem to be very, very sensitive to it, more than men. So thyroid symptoms in our animal companions are our preventative awareness, the canary in the coal mine. So take note, make bold changes. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Join me on these daily doses. I don't always do them daily. I try to show up daily, but I'm here to answer your questions and help you. And I'm also here to learn what you know about this, which is why I think we need each other. And I'm just so grateful that you're here, because you care enough about your animals to look at natural solutions to chronic problems like this. So I'm constantly in my own journey of discovery with my own health and my underactive thyroid as I kind of enter into the next half century of my life. And I'm eternally grateful to you and to my animals and my child and my clients for always teaching me and pushing me to dig deeper and deeper and look for alternative natural solutions to get to the root cause of what's creating this problem in the first place. And I want you to carry on and share what you know about this, because You know something that I don't know. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Sarah. Petro. Yeah. Yeah, it's important. And a lot of times it's totally preventable if you just allow yourself the time to educate yourself and slow everything down and go at the pace. I can't say this enough. Go at the pace of your own body or your animal's body. Don't go at the pace of your mind, because that's where we miss the subtle clues, and where animal communications and getting the information straight from your animal's mouth is going to cut out so much worry, expense, consternation, sleepless nights, because you know you're doing the best you can for your animals. So take that with you wherever you go. Give your animals a big love. I'm going to take this little sleeping beauty that's on my lap. I'll show you. He's been keeping me company. Oops, wrong end. Say goodbye to the people. Say goodbye. Say bye. We'll see you again soon. And if you found this video helpful, please like it, share it, and tell me what else you'd like me to speak to from an alternate medicine point of view, and through a really intuitive medical body scanning, to go directly to the source and ask your animals what they need and what's working for them and what's not, so that you're not throwing money on supplements and vitamins and tasting that you don't need to. Just ask your animal. It's so easy. And if you want to learn how to talk to your animals, you know where to find me. Go over to sarahjanefarrell.com and I'll meet you there. And have a beautiful weekend wherever you are. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah. Say bye to the people. Say bye. Bye. I love this kitten. It's just so gorgeous.